Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Dharam Singh, your host, your friend, your mentor, and I'm going to talk to a very exciting person today. His name is Harley, and he's coming from Toronto, Canada, and he's going to talk a lot of things about project management and program management and some of the key topics. You probably have seen some of the topics. Um, I'm really excited to have him here, and he's also excited. And we have been working together to prepare for this session. We're excited to make sure that you get the best value from us. And as you probably have seen the previous webinars, you get a lot of value from these professionals. You know, the industry professionals. They are the leaders in their areas. So I'm fortunate enough to get them into my webinars, and they come and give the knowledge, and this knowledge going to be with you for a long time, and this knowledge going to stay on the YouTube for a long time. I don't know for how long, and who knows. And this is the knowledge pool. You want to come back to this pool again. So if you're already on my YouTube, I'm sure you have been enjoying those. If you're not, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and keep subscribe, and also learn from them the previous webinars I have. Just like Harley, I have many people already came to this program. They have shared their experience. Here we are again. So welcome all of you. Thank you for registering and coming to this session. I'm looking forward to give you some value out of this session, and looking forward to add, and also please ask questions, whatever feel like, hey, I think I should be asking questions to Dharam or to Harley, please, more than welcome. And I will take those questions as and when the right time comes, or maybe it's question related to the topic we're talking at the time. I'll bring that question to Harley and discuss at the time. So, with no further delay, Harley, welcome to the session. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Perfect. So, look, Harley, as I mentioned, this is going to be, exciting session for you. You're going to be a rock star, and I'm sure you're going to be famous very soon. You're already famous anyway.
Thank you.
So it's not about making you famous, it's about the knowledge you've gained over the period of time, and you said that I'm willing to express my knowledge and let people learn from me. So here we are, with a wonderful webinar, some set of questions which I'm going to ask and you're going to answer.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Great stuff. So guys, as probably have seen Harley's introduction somewhere on LinkedIn, but I got connected with Harley sometime back when he was looking for PgMP assistance, and I said, okay, let's get it done. And so he completed his PgMP, I think on 18th of April 2022. Yes. Not long ago, so it's all fresh in his mind. And I think he will be happy to answer your question. If you have any question around PgMP as well, why not? Ask him. I will try to, maybe I will ask him to share his journey, what he did in a while. And as and when you come across, hey, Dharam or Harley, I have questions specific about PgMP. Yes, let's talk about it as
well. Yeah, happy to share that today, Dharam. Very happy to share.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So Harley is coming with lots of experience. I think it's a 25 years experience in the in this industry. You work for telecom, contact management centers, healthcare industry, pharmaceutical, and God knows what else you have done, which is great.
So, I've had the opportunity or the blessing to to work in many places, Dharam, and under I started my career back in 1990s, late 90s, in sales actually. So I started in sales, worked my way up from that, owned my own business, and then fell in love with project management about over 10 years ago. And from there, I got my PMP certification. And as we said earlier, we met I think about a year ago. And I was interested in, taking the PgMP. I think the first time we talked, you gave me all the information. I turned around and I actually attended other courses, online courses, and I tried to do that. It didn't work out, so I came back to you, and I tried your, your boot camp, right? Your 5-day boot camp, I did that, and then you provided me some additional content or tools to study for the exam back in April, and it worked, right? So the study methodology that you provided to the class plus the additional content and tools after the class really helped. So I wanted to thank you for that first, and I think what's important for everybody to hear too, even there, we scheduled that 1 hour pre-exam check-in. I don't know if you remember that, but
yeah,
I think that alone, really helped me get over some of those, challenging questions, because you mentioned a few tools on that call that got me thinking. And honestly, I think if you didn't mention that on the call, I don't know if, I'm sure I would have passed the exam, but I wouldn't have passed it the way I passed it, right? So I think you mentioned a few tools on that call, that really helps. So I just wanted to, take the time today to thank you.
No, perfectly. Look, yes, you may be doubting your readiness, but I was very sure that you want to make it happen very, very soon. So, and when I'm talking to my student, I get to get the feeling that, hey, this person is, really motivated, going to make it happen, or this person need extra effort and extra push from my side. So I do that all the time. And then the last session you mentioned about the pre-exam strategy session, really important. It's optional. Many people they go for exam, but people who take that session, no extra payment required, they get benefit out of it. What is I do talk about, of course I will analyze your readiness, which I did. The second thing I do, probably top 3-4 questions, which I feel most likely to be, you most likely going to see something similar in your exam, if not the same. And these are curly questions, how to handle such questions. Then we talk about what to do in the last 7 days, the last 24 hours, the last night. Of course, last night, I would recommend you to sleep like a baby and wake up in the morning fresh and no pressure, no stress. Of course, no pressure, no stress is not the. I mean, I can say that sitting outside, but look, I try to use my yoga teachers, whatever have teaching yoga as well, to make you more comfortable, relaxed, stress-free, so that when you see the curly question, you actually can see through the answer, through easily and get it answered. So I'm very happy that it is working with the 392 PgMPs from 48 countries, which is 12% of global number. Cannot happen just like that. It is a lot of effort goes behind the scene for people like you. You work really hard, and I do give some guidance and direction, and I take all the credit.
So, thank you. Yes.
Okay. So, guys, if you are preparing for PgMP and PfMP, yes, I've shared a couple of links to you on the chat. Please watch those YouTube videos. Of course, you will see me in my different avatar, with my long beard and white beard and long hair, which with my previous life. But it's 1.5 hour video for PgMP, 1 hour for PfMP. All you're going to learn, you will learn everything you need to prepare and do for passing the exam. And what exactly you have to do to make yourself more comfortable. So, I mean, I cannot be more happier to see all these successes. Last April and May, I already seen, I think, probably 15 PgMPs and 2 PfMPs. 4 more to go in this month. I think we still have some time in this month. So it is happening very frequently. That doesn't make, I'm not getting immune of your successes. I get excited from each of the successes because I know these 2 certificates, PgMP, PfMPs, are, very, very complex and not easy to get. But once you pass the exam, of course, you know the importance, and this is one of the big thing you have achieved. And for me, I feel comfortable and happy, excited to see that my students are passing with ease. So good. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me and taking my guidance, going through the process. And I am very, very happy from your result. Thank you. Okay. So somebody did mention, Harley, you are a rock star. Right, Ash.
Thank you, Ash.
So So I know your number of colleagues are going to join, your colleagues. So I like to welcome all of you. And I know you probably know how good Harley is. So today you going to listen from him. Some of the question I have prepared for him. So we're going to go through that, and he will be answering those questions. And let's see. And feel free to ask questions. All right. Anything else you'd like to share, Harley?
Yeah, you know what, just before we dive in, Dharam, just wanted to, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present today on, rethinking project leadership and governance. It's a great topic, and love that I'm part of that. Also want to just congratulate everybody for making it here, right? Making it through and really persevering through, the last 2.5 to 3 years. The pandemic has been tough on everybody. All the other things that's going on in the world as well. It's been tough. So, really a pat in the back for yourself for making it through all of that. And I think, the topic that we're going to talk about today, Dharam put together, it's going to be great. And it's going to talk about, some of those challenges that we've gone through the past 2 years.
Exactly. And COVID is not gone yet, and it's coming in different form and shape. And I used to think that, hey, I'm doing yoga every day. I'm immune. I don't have to worry about anything. Guess what? Came back from India. So I don't know from where I got it, but I was feeling sick. Like I don't get that sick very easily, but I'm having some fever and running nose, and maybe I was taking it casually. But later on, my doctor asked, Dad, do you think you want to do a test of COVID? I said, no, I don't get COVID. But you know what? I got the COVID. I was lucky because I had 2 vaccine shots, so I had impact. I have to take rest, but I was recovered very, very quickly. I should say, within a week time, I was 100%. I'm not saying this is, everybody's situation. Some people get more sick, and we have seen, lots of deaths because of COVID. So please don't take it lightly. And if you do have any symptoms, take it seriously and do whatever you have to do to make sure you are coming out of COVID and not impacting anybody else. So that's the message we have for you, along with the message about how COVID-19 is shaping the project leadership and the governance. So this is my first question to Harley. How is COVID-19, which we have gone through, still going through, is shaping project leadership and governance?
Yeah, great question. And then, the pandemic really rattled the business landscape, right, the past 2 to 3 years. And, as a project manager or program manager, even portfolio manager, the pandemic really forced us to really reconfigure and reshape, our project leadership and governance models around. I think everybody's experienced that on this call. But really, there's 2 things. Nothing really. I'm not going to go through anything really technical, but something that, from my experience, that's really touched me or impacted me through COVID, right? And so, the first thing there are really the lack of. Obviously, we can't travel on site anymore, right? That's, I think, understandable because of COVID. But gone are the days for on-site project kickoff meetings. Whiteboarding sessions, jazz sessions, all of that. That's gone, right? For now, anyways. So the new norm now for everybody is online video conferences, document sharing, nonstop video or Zoom calls, GoToMeeting calls, team calls. You're back to back from 9 o'clock till 7 p.m. on calls, right? So no more on-site kickoff. It's all remote, right? So, for those that conducted these on-site engagement before, like myself, I used to love them. I used to enjoy them. Those were the things that I enjoyed during the project startup phase or, a stage of the project, right? And you know how important those were from a project leadership and governance standpoint as well, right? Those on-site, aside from meeting your project teams face-to-face, defining scope, high-level timelines, all of that stuff that we do normally as a project manager or program manager, those sessions from a leadership and governance standpoint were critical to me anyways, and I'm sure some of you probably agree. We use those on-site strategically in project startups. And what I mean by that, as an example, right? during the on-site meetings, during the discovery or kickoff meetings, I used to love, I use those as an opportunity to build, to kick off what I say my stakeholder engagement track in a project.
Yeah, really important.
So I analyze people being face-to-face in the same room. I look around, you're able to walk the room, shake their hands, understand who who your change agents are going to be, who are influential in the group, who are not listening at all, right? So you see all of that when you're in a room face to face. So being remote, that's completely different, right? So yes, you can still see them on camera, but you don't see the body language. You just don't get the same kind of feedback being remote and being in a room with them, right? So, but you're also probably saying, Harley, project leadership governance are standard tools that we use as a project manager today remotely, right? So, we can do this remotely, you're right, but how many times have you said, and this I've said numerous times since the pandemic, how many times have you said, if I only knew that person earlier, I could have prevented this issue, right? And being remote, sometimes you can't see who's in the room. Sometimes someone's hiding in the corner quietly, but really they're the action, they're the key stakeholder for a functional team. Being remote, you don't see the entire picture, right? So that's that's how it impacted me, having to manage some of these engagements remotely. We're getting better. We perfected it, I think, with technology, but it's still not the same feel. And hopefully things change and get back to normal and be able to go on site, right? So, and for me, going on site, since I became a project manager, I look at every project as a chess game. Initiation, a project startup, what I do on the on-site is really identify the stakeholders. I look at them, I shake their hands, I get to know them, and I put them on my chessboard, right? By the time I get home from that on-site, I have my chessboard completed. Being remote, you can still build your chessboard, but it's going to take you a lot longer, and there's going to be a lot of trial and error because you just can't pinpoint certain things when you're remote versus on-site, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. And last thing on the governance, the pandemic, right, really made businesses reevaluate our risk and financial governance frameworks, right? Being prepared for risk is no longer enough. What I've seen and what I've read, to survive in today's world, we need to implement scenario-based planning tools, right? The traditional risk mitigation steps from identifying, analyze, respond, monitor, that's not enough in today's world, right? And I remember, and I'll kind of dive more deep into what I mean by this, but 7 years ago, I was in the call center space, implementing call center applications. And 7 years ago, I saw AI and predictive dialing, in the call center space. Well, with the pandemic, that's accelerated the expansion of that technology, right? And it's now like, you'll see that in all vertical markets. You have AI. AI is the big thing. How's AI affecting project management today? PMI has a great video about the future of project management with AI and automation. If everybody want to Google that on YouTube, it's a great 3-minute video that really talks about the future of project management, right? Well, the pandemic, was the trigger. It accelerated AI and predictive technology, all of that, right? Now it's in our world, in the healthcare space, in the hospital space, and everywhere, right? The ability to predict the future, Dharam, is what we need to survive and be successful post-pandemic. And I'm seeing more and more of that being implemented. It's not cheap, right, to implement, but truly you need it as an organization to stay ahead of your competitor, because your competitors next door is implementing that, right?
And actually, you're right. Having a right tool, very, very useful. Predictability, and based on the trend, you should be able to see where we are heading to or not heading to, and you should be able to gauge, hey, I think we have to take some action to make it possible, or not, or removing that any risk we have. So yes, right tool, investing in the right tool is very, very important. I don't know, Harley, if I told you ever, I normally talk about it. We have built a tool with platform, which is covering every part. Most of the organization can be done on this one single platform. Sales and HR and project program portfolio management and your supply chain, your compliance management, risk management, governance management, or issue management. I'm probably, it's like a fairy tale, but this is reality. We have a platform which you can use on a single platform, which you can use. And the advantage why I'm talking about this is because it has we're covering all or most of the AI, artificial intelligence, to give you as a project manager predictability, and the reporting to your management become very, very easy. So that's where I'm happy to discuss with you or anybody on the call if they want to know more about it. You're going to love that platform. Yeah.
Awesome.
So and during the COVID time, and such tools are very, very useful. Not in COVID time, less COVID is hope that COVID is gone or finishing in next 3 months, 6 months. It's totally out. That's a wish list. I mean, is COVID not something else? But the thing is that remote work is becoming normal. Whether you are living in Dallas, you're living in somewhere else in the world, you can be part of the team. Yes, there are some challenges which you mentioned earlier. Instead of shaking hands in the meeting and checking the body language, you have to rely more on the communication you're having with you and with the team member, and maybe have very personal meetings and personal sessions to understand more about it. Yes, extra effort required as a project manager. You need to put more efforts, which you were able to do it in a room, in the floor. But now you have to do as a phone call or Zoom calls. More often you have to be talking with the team member. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, and going back to to my earlier sense about reevaluating risk and financial governance frameworks with reevaluating it with more automation and data, right? Being data driven now, right? Like being able to manage your risk using data versus your spider sense is what we call it in project management, right? So it's taken us forward, and I think there's a saying, and I read this I think 2 weeks ago, Tech-Celeration, right? Tech-Celeration is when a technology gets fast forwarded because of something like a pandemic, right?
Exactly.
So Tech-Celeration is AI, predictive data, all of that automation piece. Like it's what they said. I read something last week where they said, some of the technology and solution that came out of the pandemic fast forward our industry or some countries by 5 years. So they, technically, welcome to 2027 in some of these countries, right? Because they said it literally fast forwarded us 5 years because of what happened with the pandemic, what it's forcing us to do. So, risk management, financial governance frameworks, that's just 2 small pieces. But I'm seeing a lot of improvement already, a lot of the predictability and automation being implemented, and it's exciting, very exciting.
Exactly. What you said is great. When if you look at 5 years, thinking the technology will be there. Of course, as IT, most people are aware of remote working because of the you are able to connect. But non-IT, that's where the change happened. Bigger change happened in the non-IT world. Remote working was kind of no for them, but because of the pandemic they have to, and they're forced to use it. Now guess what? They have no other option just than to stay on the remote working. Most of the organizations are shrinking their facilities. They're not using as much as they used to have. So big offices, because most people are working or spreading across.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Agree.
All right. Okay, I do have a question, and he's saying, how do you think automation will affect manpower, if any?
Yeah, so I think from a project management standpoint, I know some, I've talked to several project managers and program managers as well, Dharam. That's a great question, by the way, because that was the exact question I had from my mentor. But, from a project management standpoint, automation is going to benefit us. It's just going to create, make us more efficient. Instead of being more, deliverable focused, you're going to be more strategic, right? All the daily administrative tasks, all those things that you do every day, checklists, all of that, weekly status updates that an automation or AI or even a chatbot can do for you, right? So it's going to take all of those repetitive tasks and admin tasks off of you and really focus your energy. And I speak a lot about this with my project managers on my team. Is it'll switch gears from being administrative and focused on the daily tasks, repetitive tasks, to more strategic. Focus on your stakeholders. Building that relationship, growing your business, building the trust, all of that, building efficiency. So it's really just going to it's a share shift, moving you from those repetitive tasks to more strategic tasks. But I think that's my 2 cents on that. I don't know about you, Dharam.
No, that's perfectly, and that's what this AI is bringing. And people do have some worry. Hey, what if most of the job is done by my machine? What I'm going to do? And of course, you don't have to do what you mentioned, repetitive work. Just believing in the Excel spreadsheet or collection of data or a spreadsheet or maybe the status reporting, which can be done by having a right tool. And the tool I was talking about have the capability to press the button, you get the report going to your manager, and you don't have to type everything. It's already there, already happening. So that will actually, as you mentioned, more to have focus on strategic side, to building your relationship with your stakeholders, giving them right feedback at right time, not just sitting behind the computer all the time and doing the repetitive work. Okay, forget about it, it's already done. Okay, let me talk to my sponsor, let me talk to my other stakeholder, give them confidence, build a relationship with them, happier, talk to your beneficiaries, and give them more training, more guidance, so that will be more focused rather than worrying about your day-to-day status reports.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, there will be some industries or vertical markets that will be impacted, Dharam. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
But I think overall, it's just going to benefit. It's a mind shift, right? With automation, and it's there. Like, if you're a project manager, that whatever position you're holding, automation and AI is coming. And with the pandemic, it's fast forwarded that. Like I said, Tech-Celeration, it accelerated the expansion or the growth of AI and all that automation.
Yeah, actually, this is a very hot topic, and we can keep talking about this for hours. We can take some example from the industry revolution and the introduction of the computers. A lot of things. A lot of people were worried. Hey, what about my job? The introduction of the cars. What about my tram? What about my horses? You know what? We survived, and we actually have grown out of all those, the daily manual jobs. And yes, manpower, you may not be doing the same thing. You may not need 2 people to do your Excel spreadsheet. Now they can do something better for you, or something else they can do. Yeah.
Right.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. Thank you for great answers. And thank you for the question. So I'm very happy with this question. All right. My second question for you is, how do project managers handle change exhaustion in the project team? Change.
Yeah.
Big thing.
Yeah. So I think everyone here has their secret ingredient or potion on how to manage change exhaustion, or maybe I'll call it change fatigue. Dharam. Everybody has their ingredients. As a project manager, you have those as part of your tool belt. But for a few things that stick out to me, things that I focus on to minimize or mitigate change exhaustion or fatigue. Number one, collaboration. Making sure if the teams that are people that are listening to me that's work with me knows collaboration to me is important, right? As much as possible, involve your team members in as many change initiatives, right? And different capacity, obviously, and will depend on their availability. But involving them to experience the planning, execution of a change, will show them the challenges and the amount of effort that it takes to really roll out some of these softwares or applications, right? So not being part of a change initiative sometimes, it's easier for them to resist, right? But being part of collaborating and being part of an initiative will allow them to look under the hood, right? And be able to say in the future, you know what? Yeah, I know this is a hard change to swallow, but I've been there and it's hard. I'm just going to be, I'll be a change agent. I'll provide my feedback. So, it's really a good way for us as leaders to convert the resistors to change and the people that are against change to really, to get their buy-in, right? And giving them that opportunity to look under the hood when you're going through these changes it's really sometimes will wake them up to say, hey, it is not as easy as it looks implementing these kinds of changes. I'll become more of a supporter moving forward, right? And then number two, how to handle exhaustion and mitigate that is number two, is accept the fact that not everybody will change the same speed. I think everybody's that's been on this project, you'll have resistors, people resisting to change, but accept that, right? Not a lot of people, everybody has, you bring to the table different values, right? And some of the changes that you're implementing might not bring value to that person, right? So accept the fact that they'll either be a resistor or will not change as fast as everybody else, right? So really just, refocus maybe as a leader, what I've done in the past is really refocus my energy on the early adopters. Dharam, like really showcasing, leveraging their behaviors and attitudes during the change process, and really, as an example, have them go on record and write up a testimonial, right? Because a testimonial from your peer or their peers is worth more than you going out there and providing the pros and cons of what you're implementing. Sometimes hearing it from their peers through a testimonial, a video, or a write-up, is a lot better than you communicating that, right? And honestly, the last part, that's very important to me, how the project manager handle change, exhaustion, everything, all the stress that we've experienced the past 2.5, 3 years is simple grit and resilience. And I think we're going to talk about that later, Dharam, but, as project managers, we need to be gritty, resilient. That'll get us through all those, ups and downs, all the, the tough weeks, the tough calls, all of that, right? So it's really, in short, just mental toughness as well, Dharam.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, so the changes, not change the change. We have to accept it. There will be change. Very rarely you will see that project you're running is not bringing a change. Whether we talk organization change or whether we're talking the normal change with the project and adding more scope and something, you need to manage it and make sure you have right people in managing the changes. They are looking the change from different angle. If you talk about organization change, as you mentioned, there are people who are assistant, supporting. Some of them are they are sitting on the fence. What do you do? So there are various techniques. You probably remember from the stakeholder engagement and the PgMP learning, how to identify such people and what exactly we have to do to convert, if possible, from the resistance to at least to neutral, if not to the supporter. So there are various techniques which people have to use it and apply this learning. And remember, every change can be different. Every stakeholder group can be different. What works in previous organization may not work in the same organization, or techniques can change. Your support from your management can change. The assistance can be more in some organization because they don't want to get changed. So you need to analyze it. You have to have a stakeholder engagement plan, and you have applied this engagement plan. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point on the stakeholder mapping. I think we talked about it earlier, building that stakeholder matrix and mapping everybody correctly, is going to contribute and help, manage expectations in these change initiatives.
And it is a time consuming, but trust me, if you have spent enough time on this whole activity of identifying the right stakeholder and who are the promoter, who are the assister. This will help you in the long run. So please do spend time, identify them into the stakeholder register, and understand some various characteristics about them, and have a plan to engage with them effectively. And yeah, that's what I can say. Perfect. Very nice. Good stuff. All right. So my next question for you, Harley, is how can a project leader or leaders become resilient and tackle project failures in a high-risk project ecosystem?
Yeah, another great question. And, I've seen many project leaders, project managers, and we don't like to hear the word burnout, but burnout due to project failures and just heavy project demands. And then adding the pandemic, the stress of that, and just a lot of the unknowns around the pandemic, really has changed our ecosystem, right? Right. So it's there's a lot of unknowns, a lot of risks that just are coming up from the pandemic that just out of our control. And resilience, and resilience is important, right? And for me, I've tried different things to build this in my own career. But just, 3 things that I think I'd like to highlight. And honestly, it's nothing that you would learn in your PMP or PgMP. It's, more something that you'll get from within, and yourself. So building physical and mental health, I think that's the number one to build resilience, right? So you need to be healthy, right? You need to exercise, make this be part of your routine. I don't care if it's before, while you're working, or after, but you need to make sure that you allocate time to exercise and really, manage your mental health, right? Exercise will help all of that, right? And exercising is good energy, right? That's going to revitalize your physical and mental health, right, in the long term. So that's number one. Again, nothing you'd learn in your PMP, but really, I stress this with everybody, building physical and mental health, you really need to spend time on that to get through these, tough times. That's number one, take calculated risks and think out of the box, right? Be resilient. As I stated earlier, using a scenario-based planning approach when you're managing risks, or, you're going through these brainstorming sessions, you need to be able to, think out of the box, right? Think outside of the box to deliver a well thought out solution, right? With creative fun with your team, right? So that's another way, number 2, that, I've been really focusing on in the past couple of years. And then the last is something I'm sure we all had to get used to during the pandemic, and that's agility. Being able to pivot the past 2-3 years has been, the norm in project management, and even outside project management, right? If you're a teacher, like how many times did you go remote and back on, on-site teaching, all of that, right? So, and from having to move on-site training to remote, or figuring out how to pivot around our customers complaining about staffing shortages, there's a lot of things that we've experienced the past 2 to 3 years that really we need to be agile, because if you don't, you're going to have a hard time, right? Yep. So, really agility is my number 3. What about yourself, Dharam?
Yeah. So you actually picked very important topic, interesting topic, very close to me. Health, physical and mental health is very, very important for any project man or any professional, because the pressure you get from your stakeholders, from your senior managers, from your team members, and all the problems you're going through, you need to have mentally very strong. You should be able to see through the problem, solution very easily. And if you are already stressed, then it will be difficult for you to manage such situation. So one of the things I do, if you have not noticed so far, I teach yoga. Yeah, I'm promoting yoga now. So, yoga or any exercise, I'm not just saying yoga, but have a routine built for yourself. Every day, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, go out in the fresh air, and, if it's not snowing, maybe in the room, do some daily activities, build your body with a daily pattern, and so that will help you to stay healthy, and you're mentally very strong and emotionally very strong. And when you're dealing with a difficult situation, and that will help you to deal with your political environment. Yeah, many people have to go through, and the stressful situation because of the some stakeholder, and you will be able to manage your things very easily. Sounds very Dharam, you are not in that situation, but believe it or not, I have gone through many such situations myself when I was running my programs and projects. I've done many projects actually, believe it or not. Now I'm running my own company. That's a different story. But really, I've worked in project which is demanding. Something you are putting a data center or cloud within less than 5 months, fully connected. Think about data center itself is complicated, and having 2 data centers fully connected. So yes, it's not easy to do. And you know what? I got the comment from my manager that I've seen a lot of project managers. They run behind, they sit behind the processes. They come up with very beautiful report, but only person was able to do this program was because of you. And it's not just sitting behind a process and all these things. It's actually taking the initiative, working with the right people, and making it happen. That's what you're paid for, and that's where you have to deliver. Yes, you need to be mentally strong, physically strong, and you have to be resilient to handle such situations.
Yeah.
Great answer. Thank you, Harley. And guys, you still have option to put your question. I've seen a couple of questions, but yes, I'm waiting for your good questions. So please ask the curly question, the most curly question you can think for Harley. This is your time. If he has interviewed you before, or he's your boss, or him, it doesn't matter. Ask question. More question will make it more interesting, and you will be involved in the discussion. All right, perfect. I have next question for you, Harley. Ready?
Yes.
So this is about the role. What role does program manager play in corporate governance?
Yeah, so you're taking me back back in April when I was studying for my exam. So, but I think everybody here that's taking your course, PgMP course, program manager is really integral part of the program governance structure. Dharam, I think we covered that quite a bit. And it's one that really manages, as a program manager, managing the interdependencies of the program to make sure that to the overall governance framework, right? So managing all the different elements within the government framework and making sure that it's all in sync, right? And making sure that it aligns and it's reported to the governance board as well, right? And I think the most important, one of the top 3 rules for a program manager relative to corporate governance is the role of is ensuring that all the benefits being delivered and being requested all align to the strategy of the receiving organization, right? So you drilled that in our course, and I saw that on the exam all the time, multiple questions around this, but really, our role as a program manager or your role as a program manager is making sure that that's always aligned to your, the receiving organization's business goals and objectives. And if it isn't, that benefit should not, that reviewed again by the governance board, but making sure that that's always aligned. Everything you do in the program that goes through the corporate governance team needs to be aligned with the receiving organization's goals and objectives.
Yeah. So look, program manager plays very important role in the governance and the corporate governance. You have to ensure that whatever work is given to you, that is strategically aligned. At any time you feel that, hey, it's aligned anymore, it's not going to give us expected benefit, or there's too much risk, it is your role to explain, or go back to the governance board and to the financial level, hey, there's a problem here, or this is how we could do. But one thing is, don't just go to them as a problem. This is a problem, and there's a potential 3 or 4 options which we can look into, and we have analyzed them. And based on the analysis from my team and myself, we're going to, I think the option number 1 can work better and that will give us this benefit or that benefit and this understanding, and you're going to explain it with justification. So that way, one of the important role you have to play as a program manager is to keep your stakeholder informed about the benefits, about the stakeholder engagement, about various aspects of the program. The thing is that you are one who are running the show, but they are not. They are dependent on you. At the same time, they are anxious, they're curious to know what is happening in the program. So keep them informed as and when things happen. Just let them know, hey, this has happened. Of course, you have to think about some positive news, the negative news. Negative news. If there's any negative news, of course you have to share with them. If you don't share, somebody else will share, and that will look even bad. So you need to build your trust with your stakeholders, your governance managers, sponsor, and that will happen once you are open and sharing the required information right time.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, definitely. That's something I missed earlier is, as a program manager, you really need to, anything that's misaligned to the strategy, you need to bring that to them, but really in a package, right? You should have done your homework, you should have assessed, you should have, done your risk management, and then, come to the table with your proposed solution. So yeah, great points. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the role of program, because if you imagine, if you think that, hey, my sponsor should resolve this situation, he or she has no clue at all. It is
right.
Of course they have different view. You are a program manager, he or she has a strategic view, but they will not able to come to the solution. They will say, okay, tell me what are the options, what can I do?
Yes.
What are the things you have to analyze anything. So one of the things when you're sitting in the exam, of course you go with a mindset that you are a proactive program manager. You are taking some action in advance, and you have already done some analysis before you even talk to your sponsor or steering committee.
Right.
So it's a very critical role you play. You're a bridge between organization strategy, delivering the strategy or benefit to the organization via your team. You have to motivate a team. You work with the team, excite them, get them to do the work. At the same time, keep them informed, the sponsor, governance, and the organization leaders.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
So look, you have learned a lot in this whole process, and this is one thing I like to see. I like to see in my students, like, look, passing exam. Various people talk about you can memorize things, bug up all these things, and do this. But in reality, certificate is nothing unless you know what you learn. And that should be one of the criteria should be, okay, what I'm going to learn from this particular certificate or this degree or this training or this webinar, or like today, what I'm learning. And that's what your goal should be, not just for having some people come here only for PGs. Of course, PG is important, but what I'm learning from Harley, what I'm learning from Dharam or anybody else. So that's something you should have in your mind. Any situation can teach you something which can be useful in your life. So I like to see that my students are learning and applying that knowledge in your day-to-day program management or portfolio management or whatever you have been doing. So, and I'm glad to see that you have learned and you're living with that knowledge and you're applying that knowledge in your day-to-day life.
Correct. Yeah. And thank you for transferring that knowledge.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay. All right. So moving on to my last question for you at this stage. I think the time is also running out, but I have a question. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
So what are the data governance challenges in the age of business transformation?
Yeah, wow. Data governance challenges. There's quite a bit, and I'm seeing a lot of organizations going through a ton of transformation projects. Either because of COVID or the pandemic or other reasons, but I've seen a lot of I've been reading a lot of organizations going through big business transformations, right? But around data governance, there's a lot of challenges. I have my mentors that are in different industries outside of the healthcare industries that's going through these same challenges, right? So a few examples of governance challenges around data. Really, the number one to me is the ability to consolidate data from multiple legacy systems. So a lot of people are running concurrent systems, applications, databases today, right? So large organizations will have multiple databases that they're running. Stitching all of that, the legacy systems, all of that together into one data governance, I guess, structure, is what we want to call it, is not easy. And that's, I think, one of the bigger challenges that organizations are facing right now. I'm not technical at all, Dharam, but, you know, I've you know, as a project manager, I've been seeing a lot of this, a lot of organizations going through these challenges. This challenge, anyway, specific to, you know, running multiple legacy systems and consolidating that into one, right? So number one, and then the second is, you know, poor data governance, leadership, or oversight. That's, I think, you know, that's not, you know, common challenges that, you know, all organizations are facing right now. Building a data governance, you know, department or team requires specialized people, right? And many organizations, I think, are, you know, using as existing staff or resources to manage their data governance departments. And that's, you know, some of the challenges that I think some organizations are facing that I'm hearing out there right now, right? It's, you know, data, your data needs specialized people to design, develop, test, and implement all that. It's not an easy solution for just a regular resource to manage or oversee. Number three, lack of control over enterprise data, right? I think, you know, a lot of organizations, they don't have good standard operating policies around, you know, who can access what data. Like, it's a free for all. So locking that down, I think, is an important piece of the puzzle. But I think lack of control over enterprise data is the third challenge. And then last but not least, you know, to ensure that data governance is embedded in your operations, right? Your day-to-day operations, not just, hey, I'm gonna implement and go live with a data governance, you know, team and new policies, and not embed that. You know, make sure that you embed that into your day-to-day operations so it doesn't get lost, right? People will forget. So you need to make sure that that's visible and that's part of even your OKRs or your organizational strategy. So, you know, you don't want that to get lost, is what I'm trying to say. So those are really 4 key items. Like I said earlier, I'm not technical, so I can't talk technical today. But, you know, from a non-technical perspective, I think those are 4 key points.
Yeah, actually, data is becoming more and more important. And right data, quality of data is very important as well. And how you use the data to make your decisions and transformation with the, you know, it's becoming more and more important for you. So for whether you are a technical person who is a data scientist or something, you know, that's totally different. But as a project or program manager, quality of data and, you know, utilization of the data and security of the data is very, very important. You know, security is a very important aspect. Because if that data, same data goes into the hand of some bad people, your program and organization can be in trouble. So yes, you have to be careful about it.
Correct. So, yeah, and you know, as a program project manager, I think, you know, we can all attest that, you know, you need good data to report adoption, utilization, your financials, right? So that's all data driven, right? So it's very important to really lock this down as an organization. You need to be able to provide good, accurate data to your program project managers. So very important.
Yeah, perfect. Look, these are my questions. What I, you know, came across, and you did really well. You provided good explanation, good examples, and very involving discussion. So thank you for your contribution. I know it's a hard work to come to a webinar with the technical information, a lot of information to be shared, and especially when you don't see who is watching you and when they will watch you. So, and you did really well. Very happy that you did, you know, good job. And
thank
your colleagues and your friends, you know, people around the world, you know, they may not be friends at the moment, but I think they will love to connect with you via LinkedIn.
Yeah, happy to. I'm happy to help. You know, I think mentoring other project managers and program managers and just connecting, with others in your practice is great, right?
Yeah. So thank you for all your contribution, and thank you all of you to join today. I know some people say late night or early morning because of time difference, but you have been joining this program again and again, again and again. You're benefiting from this, and you're providing us good feedback. Hey, Dharam, I was in your program, such and such such person. I really enjoyed it. And actually, many people actually come and talk to me. Hey, Dharam, I like this. The way Harley did his PgMP, or he's trying to do PfMP. I like to do it. So I'm here to help. If I can be any help to you, please reach out to me. There is a phone number, or email address, or some link where you can talk to me. I have a 15-minute time allocated. Once it's allocated, it's your time. Whether you take my program or not, doesn't matter. But what can you learn from me? Please, anything. If I can help you, I will definitely help you in that 15-minute, generally 15-minute time, but it goes up to half an hour, sometimes 45 minutes. But that discussion might change the way you look at this particular certificate, the way you see the information, or maybe career, or what can I do to change myself from a project manager, or non-project manager to project manager, or to senior management role. Yeah. So anything I can help you, please let me know. So reach out to me via LinkedIn, Facebook, or booking my time by link. You've probably seen that. So yeah, so great stuff. Thank you very much, and wait for another discussion coming up very soon. And as I probably know that every month I have 1 or 2 or 3 such professional or leaders coming and discussing. They're giving their experience, they're learning from the life and sharing their knowledge with you. It's all free. Knowledge is free. It's how you utilize that knowledge is something you have to apply. Because there's so much knowledge available on internet, YouTube, LinkedIn. But what do you do with that knowledge is something you have to work out. If you don't use it, this all knowledge or data is waste. But if you get something simple, one thing out of that discussion, and you utilize that in your day-to-day life, into your day-to-day project program management, that the job is done. So thank you, Harley.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining. And I'm getting lots of good feedback on the chat, on the question pad, and you did a really good job. And happy to have, glad that I invited you. And I will see you. I'm sure I will see you soon again in my PfMP program or other programs. And you are a great asset, and for the organization, and of course to the project program portfolio management community. So love to stay connected with you, and yeah, and who knows what will happen.
I'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you very much once again. So COVID and other things, some monkeypox is coming, and you have to stay, look after yourself, and look after your community, look after your staff, and your team members. So with this message, I'd like to conclude, and thank you once again to all of you. Thank you, Harley, for giving your precious time and giving us the knowledge and information. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. You take care, guys, and see you again very soon.